Lochie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review the Prime Metropolitan meeting of the week. They will look for the horses to follow, those to forgive, and possibly those to forget. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571. 0427 789 571.
Yeah, get on that text line, 0427 789 571. Welcome along to Racing Rewind this morning. I'm joined in the studio by Lochie Taylor and Michael Heaton. Good morning, boys.
Good morning, Riley, Michael and listeners. Great day at Belmont Park yesterday. Some really nice 3-year-olds that raced, and clearly highlighted by the win of Brave Spirit in the Raconteur Stakes, Michael.
Morning, boys. Morning, listeners. Absolutely. And also Steve Wolf's the stablemate of the Steve Wolf trained runner and roped them in. He has a pair of really nice 3-year-olds. Does Wolfie, and by all reports roped them in, not going to the Belmont Guineas, unfortunately, in a fortnight's time, but I think we might see a different looking Belmont Guineas to what we saw in that Raconteur Stakes yesterday, because it may have changed after how well she ran, but pre-race the plan was not to go to the mile with the boss lady. Generosity definitely wouldn't go, and other horses that were quite well beaten back in the field may not progress any further as well. So it might be a bit of a different looking race.
We caught up with Wolfie on drive on Friday afternoon, and it was Thursday afternoon we caught up with Wolfie. He was actually on the Garn on the way up to Darwin.
I was about to say, where is he? Because he wasn't at the races yesterday.
No, he's on a little hiatus,
nice
getaway, Wolfie, and we spoke to him and he sort of said that he wanted to separate the pair of those 3-year-olds, because all the way through he's really struggled to split them, but always had such high opinions of the both of them. And obviously with Rope Them In able to get the job done there in race number 7 on the program, you'd take some confidence from that Brave Spirit with the right run from that tricky barrier was going to be hard to beat.
And did exactly that. It was funny, when I was interviewing Tamara, his stable foreman, after the race, he didn't actually tell his staff where he was going. He just said,
just shot off.
I'm leaving. I'll be back next Tuesday. And they actually didn't know where he was. So.
Well, it's a common time of year for trainers to get away, isn't it, after the Ascot season coming into this winter period. I think Neville Parham jetted off not long ago. Danny Morton's overseas at the moment. So it's some well-earned rest for the hard-working trainers.
That is for sure and certain.
Probably due a break myself, hey, Loch?
Wouldn't have thought so after last week.
How did the track play out there, boys? Obviously, there's been a bit of rain throughout the week.
I thought it was outstanding.
Yep.
Halfway through the program, I thought, geez, might be a bit hard to make ground. But that second half of the program, granted, there were races that were run at a far stronger tempo, which played into the hands of the backmarkers a little bit more. But I couldn't have picked a hole in it from if you looked at the card overall from start to finish.
I agree. I was almost surprised we didn't see an upgrade in the end, because it played really, really well. Hardly any kickback throughout. I think there's one thing that there's a big enough sample size now that we've been back at Belmont Park for a few weeks, and that is that the 1,000-metre races generally are won by horses within the first 4. We've seen the new configuration. Whether that is a key factor, I'm not sure.
They go quite steady now, don't they?
Or whether it's just the fact that in 1,000-metre races, just because it's such a short race, it's hard to get into it if you are back in the field. But we've seen time and time again that it's been very difficult to make up meaningful ground over the 1,000-metre journey, and that was the case there yesterday as well.
You got a fan on the text line already this morning, Lochie. It was a pleasure to watch Lochie strut his stuff live and catch up with him during the early races yesterday. I should have stayed, as the Eagles never turned up across the road until about race 8 anyway. Enjoy your day, boys, from Greg.
Greg L. Met him in the flesh.
Met him last week, actually.
Always a pleasure to see you.
He mentioned that.
Strut your stuff live as well.
He said he was a bit excited. A bit more excited to see me.
Yeah.
Let's get cracking, boys. Race number 1 on the program there yesterday was for the 2-year-olds over the 1,000 metres. It was the Amelia Park Plate. Here's the closing stages.
And then on the rails came favourite songs. Behind them, Caporetto. At the top of the home straight, they've got 350 to go, and Salsa Smash, the newcomer, leads the way. Here comes West Star, letting rip very quickly. And so the hot pot sprints up, dashes away, put up about 3 on them in the twinkling of an eye. Wants to run around a little with 100 to go, but West Star's cleared right out. And this, with a swish of the tail, is going to run away and win very, very impressively. Justified the very short odds and won by 4 at the finish. West Star beat beat home either Brazen Bid or Southern Scandal. Tight for second, above of the heads.
Certainly did.
Caporetto, favourite
to the tune of 5 lengths, the winner there yesterday, West Star for Simon Miller and Chris Parnham. Brazen Bid, a nice return in second, and Southern Scandal back there in third.
Absolutely bolted in. Looking at this race throughout the week, I thought this horse could be one of those horses that just starts really, really short, and that was the exact case yesterday. He was $1.20 by the time they jumped. He was...
And was shortening. They couldn't have had more on.
Exactly. As they were loading, they kept coming for him as well. It was just a mountain of money, and you can understand why. He was just clearly the best horse in that race, and it was nice to see him show some versatility. He settled outside the leader in both of his 2 career starts prior to yesterday, but they're courtesy of a nice speed. Chris was just able to slot him in behind the speed, and from there he found the line really well. Simon Miller is of the opinion that he's going to be a better horse when he has those horses to chase, and there looks like there's a little bit of a dilemma for Simon moving forward. Not only does he have a decision to make whether to go to another 1,000-metre race in 2 weeks' time or tip him out for a break, he's also not sure what type of horse he is. Chris Parnham, I think, is of the belief that he's a sprinter. Simon might think he's a miler. So a nice problem to have, because he looks like a really nice playing god.
Yeah, he's looking at him in the yard. I wasn't there a fortnight ago, so I didn't see him. And geez, he's a good-sized horse. He looks like the type of horse. I was going to say,
he already looks like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, he looks like a horse that would get over further. So I could understand Simon's thoughts behind that, thinking that he's probably not just a 1,000-metre short course type, but it's pretty exciting if he can do that. We often see horses that are very sharp earlier in their careers, and they end up getting over a bit further.
But isn't that just...
as they get older.
It's just so exciting, because now that we have a $500,000 Placid Arc and a $500,000 Guineas, you actually have the decision to do both.
Yep. And he still looked a little bit raw as well. Chris actually switched the whip from the right through to the left on straightening, and he still looked a little bit raw over the last 200. Once he hit the front, he sort of had to really be urged to kick away, and once he did, he let down brilliantly. So I think there's just some natural improvement there as well. From the Beaten Brigade, Brazen Bid and Southern Scandal were both first up. Brazen Bid had a nice quiet trial coming into it. He's already a previous winner, and I thought he closed off nicely. And Southern Scandal was a good run as well, sat outside the speed and stuck on quite bravely. But the rest of the field were beaten 7 lengths plus, so it's difficult to make too much of a case. But if these horses did clash again in 3 weeks or 2 weeks over the 1,000, with the way the weights are with these set weights plus penalties conditions, they're not going to be turning the tables on him. So some horses might be starting to dodge him now.
Exactly right. I don't think this was a strong 2-year-old race at all.
Has there been many of those?
Strong 2-year-old races?
Yeah,
in recent times, probably not.
No, it's probably been reflected on the fact there was a 1,000-metre Zero Metro win race at Belmont on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was a full 14-horse field plus an emergency, actually. And then yesterday was a 6-horse field.
Yeah.
Because I think some people probably nominated for that race on Saturday and saw West Star and thought they'd go to the midweek. But, yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him clash in some pretty small fields moving forward, because people might be trying to dodge him.
Moving forward, I did like the run of Brazen Bid first up. I've always felt like this would be a horse that might improve over a little bit more ground, so I'd be excited to see him up to 1,200 metres, maybe 1,400 metres in time.
What was the S.J. Miller 2-year-old earlier in the year that we quite liked?
Elite Missile?
We haven't seen him again, have we?
He'll race next Saturday.
Back to the trials
Next Saturday, okay, beautiful. Yeah, because he's an exciting type from what we saw last preparation.
Race number 2 on the program was the Bisley Workwear Handicap over the 1,000 metres.
Goddess of Giving being heeled along by Whiting, driving right up on the rails next to Your Ways, top of the pops, rush into the bar the outside. Cashaway is last of all, but it's Beads who leads. Beads down to the 250, Yongalas in pursuit. Whiting has to go for the Shillelagh on Goddess of Giving behind them, Your Ways. Beads in front, Yongalas coming. 100 left to go, Beads and Yongalas. Yongalas on the outside of Beads, gets ahead in front and gets the money, Yongalas. Yongalas beat Beads, he always ran third. Goddess of Giving close up his 4th home from top of the pops. Then
was the Wizard at his very best there yesterday aboard Yongalas, able to get the job done first up for Grant and Alana Williams. Beads a nice run there in second. He always back there in third. A very good run first up too, boys.
Didn't expect Yongalas to settle outside the leader, that's for sure. Prior to yesterday, she hadn't even raced over 1,200 metres, let alone 1,000, and she showed such good gate speed. She was kicked out by Willie Pike. It was a really smart ride. The race didn't look like it had a great deal of speed on paper, and Willie just took full advantage of that from barrier 7 of 7. I think she was either last or she was where she was, and that was the winning move within the first 200 metres. She's just so versatile. She's just such a tough mare, and Grant said that post-race. When you get these mares that just know where the finish line is, she's a winner of 7 from 13 now, so she is just going to continue to go through her grades throughout this winter period, and then hopefully they can aim up at something really nice throughout the summer months.
Yeah, 100%. I never envisaged her settling outside the leader when she settles last over 1,800 metres, and the fact she's never been anywhere near 1,000 metres in her life. But really strong win. She's clearly in for a good campaign, and I just thought the ride was terrific. She jumped better than expected, and with no speed in the race, a surprising lack of speed in the race for a 1,000-metre event. Pikey just knew where he wanted to be and put her into that forward position, and on straightening, they pretty much finished how they settled. Nothing really made an impression at all. It was a really tricky race to make up ground, and a horse like Castaway, I see a post-race vet examination revealed no abnormalities. Trainer advised she intends to race the gelding over an increased distance at its next start, may experiment with a gear change, which is, correct, but I just think had no chance anyhow the way the race was run. I'd be forgiving of those horses back in the field, and I think the beaten margins weren't probably reflective of how they went.
Even when you sort their finishing runs by their fastest last 600, there's not much between the whole field.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I just think that largely the way they were around the corner, that's where they finished, with the exception of Eorway, so I thought was a cracking run first up.
33.95 last 600, fastest in the race, and probably it looked like it may have had a traffic issue sort of late in the race as well, but has always been a really good 1,000-metre horse, really good fresh horse, so it'd be it looks like he's in for a nice campaign.
You could just tell going into this race that it was a race where it was a small field, extended nominations, and there were plenty of trainers and connections trying to get a result in a race that was unsuitable for their horse, because in saying that, Young Alas, we all would have thought that this race would have been unsuitable for her, and $42,000 later, they salute on a Saturday once again. But there were plenty of horses that weren't suited yesterday by that race.
It looks disappointing on paper, but even we saw Rush Into the Bar was nominated for that Raconteur. First up, they've gone to this race over the 1,000 metres instead, and watching that replay, he got to the line late really nicely too, over an unsuitable distance.
And I was speaking to managing owner Ian Butchie O'Connor on course there yesterday, owner of the Mundaring Hotel, of course, and he didn't think Young Alas could win going into yesterday's race, so it was a bit of a surprise for them as well.
Is Rush Into the Bar going to the Belmont Guineas?
I was told that yesterday may have been a trial heading towards the Guineas in a fortnight's time.
Not so
it'll be a decent old training effort if he was to win the Belmont Guineas off of that.
Race number 3 was the National Pump and Energy Handicap over the 1,000 metres as well.
Bother as they come to the corner, dropping out to the tail of the field as Bayzid rolls into the straight now by the 350. Bayzid by 2, Barney's World. A similar margin, Mr. Cover on the full, Little Strawberry, Capray Omnia, followed further back by Berberay. Inside the 200 though, Bayzid in full flight, led more than 2, Mr. Cover, Barney's World. It's Bayzid livened up in front by Derek. It's got their measure. It's Bayzid all the way. Bayzid down to the line, 1 from Mr. Cover, our Rocky Bay 3rd. Berberay, after getting lost early on in proceedings, got home when it was...
Far too speedy for them yesterday. Bayzid able to get the job done for Tiana Robertson and Maddie Derrick, leading all the way to take out race number 3 from Mr. Cover, and our Rocky Bay, a nice run in 3rd.
Really nice win this. The Connections and Tiana have had a great deal of fun with this horse. Had a long campaign last time around, and he didn't exactly have a long break. 105 days between runs. The recent trial was good, and just a slight gear change. Blinkers off, winkers on. He's always shown really good natural speed, and that was on display there yesterday as well. Goes well fresh, and also goes well with the sting out of the ground. Over East, he was a winner on a heavy 8 or 9, I believe, and there yesterday, just on a soft 6. Enjoyed getting his toe into the ground, but I think it just bodes well for him moving forward, knowing that he handles those conditions, and it's only going to get wetter and colder out there, so I think Tiana and her Connections will have plenty of fun with this horse throughout winter.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can make a case that he would have won the race previous as well that was taken out by Young Alas, because he carried 58.5 kilos after the claim, but he actually ran quicker through the first half of the race and ran a much faster overall time than both Young Alas and Westar in race number 1 for over the 1,000. So it was a really good win. Mr. Cover was a nice return. First up, no trial, was given a lovely ride. I thought she was a map query yesterday, but Brad Parnham's just riding so well and slotted her into the 1 out, 1 back position from barrier 7. Our Rocky Bay looked terrific in the yard yesterday, and for a horse that stretched out over a trip over 2,200 metres, first up, no trial, 1,000 metres, I think that horse is in for a really, really big campaign. Talking point, though, was Burberry, who was backed into $1.85, was my best bet on the program yesterday on radio yesterday morning, and I was super surprised to see him settle where he did, but in review, geez, he just could not go a yard early. Pikey was scrubbing the ears off him, trying to get him to go, and he just didn't really have that early speed, and he was held up a little bit on straightening. But when he got to the outside, he actually finished off quite well, ran home in the fastest closing splits. I think it was a good run, all things considered.
A very good run, and there's a few people getting involved on that Retrovision text line 0427 789 571. A few, I guess, disgruntled punters that probably followed you in there yesterday, Michael, with Burberry.
They're calling for Michael's head.
That's their first problem.
Calling for Michael's head and Pikey's head, for that matter.
No, it wasn't Pikey's fault, I think.
That's what I was getting at. I think in review, you can't really blame the ride on him. The horse just simply couldn't go early.
I had to go back and watch this replay on a few occasions, just trying to work out why did he settle so far back, and he's actually one of the first horses to step. It was a great line, and they all jumped beautifully, and just as you said, couldn't keep up. And it was interesting because the winkers went on, I guess, to offset something like that happening, but he travelled even worse with the winkers on. But clearly late, he really found the line well, so he'll be a horse to follow next start for me. Whether you get a price about him, I'm not sure, but I thought that was a really nice return in what was a tricky race to assess there yesterday.
And again, Ian Butchie O'Connor is an owner of this horse as well. I think he is the managing owner, and he said yesterday that when he's won first up previously, it's been on a heavy track and it was first up, no trial. He had 2 trials going into yesterday, so he actually wasn't surprised to see him have the edge taken off him a bit, and thinks he'll get out to a mile, even 1,400 metres. So in hindsight, it's true. Perhaps those 2 trials just made him a little bit, not dour, but not as sharp as what he has been in previous preparations. But the way he found the line, I think he's in for a good campaign. I'm actually going to make him a follow. I think 1,400 metres over the coming month will be right up his alley, and he actually can hold a position over those type of distances, and he should be hard to beat.
As I touched on earlier, these 1,000-metre races, it's just hard to make up ground. Capre Omnia, whilst a horse like Burberry was stronger late, I think the Bairstow boys, provided he's placed in suitable races. We saw last start that he really enjoyed getting his toe into the ground. I thought yesterday was an okay performance, but he can clearly just improve lengths and lengths when he finds a really rain-affected track. So just keep an eye on that moving forward.
That Headwater stock love the sting out of the track, don't they?
Yeah. Can't believe I didn't back him last time.
Little Strawberry was the disappointment of the race for mine. I gave her a chance yesterday and thought her 2 runs back have been really good, but she vetted without any abnormalities, but I dare say there may have been an issue there.
Okay, race number 4 in the program was the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Winter Series Heat 2 over the 1,200 metres before we head to a break.
The turnover, Famous Journey within a length of him, and then came Cap over Lochie hugging the rail to the outside. Export Girl followed further back all day session, Ruling Dame and Russian Sniper. Capricorn Man being challenged by Famous Journey at the 200 mark, and Famous Journey on the outside got about a neck clear from Capricorn Man. Famous Journey draws 3/4 with 100 to go down the outside. Russian Sniper finishing full of running. He's charging home. Famous Journey stopping, joined by Russian Sniper right on the line. Russian Sniper came with a huge run from the back of the field and has just got home, I fancy, from Famous Journey. Close up as well, right behind those, then Ruling Dame. And they were followed by Capricorn Man.
Thought you'd held on, Loch. But it wasn't to be. Russian Sniper, as often the case, Pike able to get the nose down right on the line just to pinch it from Famous Journey in second. Another great run. And Ruling Dame, a nice return for Danny Morton in third.
Absolutely, Russian Sniper. He's a fairly unassuming type. He's been in work for a little while now, but that was his 6th win from 21 career starts. So he's got a great winning record, but continues to go under the radar. I suspect it's because he's done plenty of his racing in the outer provincial areas, but now that he's back in the metro area, I think he can really go through his grades. That was a super win yesterday. You go back and watch the replay and assess where he was in running in comparison to where Famous Journey was in running. He came from a mile off them. This is a heat of a winter series for these West Speed Platinum horses that culminates with a 1,400 metre final in 3 weeks' time. I'm not sure if he's been out to 1,400 metres previously, but off yesterday's win, you'd have to at least try because he found the line really well, and clearly the longer the race went, the stronger he was.
And he's been up for a long time as well, as you mentioned, and you dare say that if he went to that 1,400, it could be a bit of a grand final for him in a $100,000 feature race. But nice patient ride by Pikey. At this stage of the day, we thought that they couldn't make any ground, but he always knows better than us, and he had the right card into the race and let down with a really nice turn of foot. Thought Famous Journey's run was terrific though, 60.5 kilos, got the better of the favourite Capricorn Man on straightening, and his last 600 Famous Journey I think was actually the third fastest in the race, despite being racing outside the leader. So he ran home faster than horses that had the camp on him. So I thought it was a really good effort, and I've been sensing Lochie's frustrations with these photo finishes lately, and I've had a little look. Famous Journey, second photo finish. Delicate Ruler on Wednesday, second photo finish. Magic Bell on Monday, photo finish. Ginnivan ran second by half a length. Search and Rocks nose in the Belmont Sprint, photo finish. You're due to be on the right side of the ledger lot.
I hope so. Are you trying to counsel me? Is there a voucher coming for some anger management? I feel like I need it.
No, just saying that the stable's ticking along.
I'd love a Lochie cam.
I'm playing rubbish golf. I go to the races. I go to my workplace, get beaten in photos week after week.
I can guarantee, Riley, that if there was a Lochie cam for racing, it would have to have audio off.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
press red for Loch.
Do you remember when, this is so off topic, but do you remember when Gary Ablett was that good that on Foxtel you could click the red button just to watch Gary Ablett?
Just follow him around.
Press red for Ed.
Yeah.
Eddie Maguire had that.
Commentating Collingwood games.
I'm not comparing myself to Gary Ablett Jr.
Yeah, jeez. No, but you've been a bit stiff there, Lochie, but the stable is going particularly well. Thought Ruling Dame was a good run first up over that top of a distance, hit the line nicely, and Capricorn Man, unders for mine, just appeared to have his chance, carried a kilo less than Famous Journey, appeared to you get things soft enough in front, but I thought so. The disappointing part for me was that he ran fourth and not third. He did cop pressure and was eyeballed by Famous Journey, who is a tough horse when he gets into a dogfight, but perhaps that last sort of 100 metres was a little bit plain for mine.
Listening to the preview yesterday morning, Scott, his best bet of the day was Capricorn Man, and he said his only concern and the only reason he didn't think he was an absolute moral was the soft six.
Yep.
And I'd have to say that might be the only reason, because he looked like he travelled well, but then when the sprint went on, his wheels spun. Yeah, exactly right.
Yep. No, well said.
Just a shout out to our man who's a little bit under the weather this morning as well, Marty Young. 2 best bets on the Straight Up podcast on Thursday. He went for Yonga Lass and Brave Spirit each way. So
too strong.
Well done, big fella, and you will be back at the Hurdy with a pint in hand in no time.
No doubt you've mentioned that because he's probably texted in just to remind you of his feats.
Of course he has.
Yeah.
Surely he's transferred you some cash or something. You wouldn't say that voluntarily.
8:30 at the halfway point of proceedings here.
Marty's still got the first dollar he earned, I think. I don't think he's handing that out willy-nilly.
That's it. We'll head to a break. Finish up on the other side.
When will Derek make a move? Big Day on It leads the way. He's gold. Now she comes out 3 wide on Twain's Angel. She's about to let down, and Fluoro Neuro sitting right on a toe ball. At the 250, He's Gold reaches the lead. Twain's Angel collared it though very quickly. Fluoro Neuro at the moment battling. Big Day on It battling back as well. Down the outside running on. Here comes Best Mood, but Twain's Angel kicks. She finds another gear and she beat them off. Oh, what a great win it was. Perfect ride as well. And she goes 6 out of 6. Twain's Angel. She stamps herself as the real deal and has won from on the outside. Best Mood or Noteworthy, and close up as
she certainly is the real deal. That was Twain's Angel. 6 on the bounce for Sean and Jake Casey, taking out race number 5, the Studco Handicap, there yesterday over the 1,200 metres from Noteworthy and He's Gold.
And it looked a little bit hairy in the early stages of the race because she was slow out. Maddie Derrick had to use her up to find a position, and from there just gave her a lovely ride. I think she was really suited by the fact that there was good speed in this race drawn underneath her, and from there Maddie was just able to slot into that 1 out, 1 back position. But still, Fluoro Neuro, a horse that was well backed late into second favouritism, had her back throughout, but Maddie and Twain's Angel, they clearly just gel so well together. She travelled into the race so nicely, and at that point, at the top of the straight. You could tell Fluoro Neuro was in some strife, but Twain's Angel travelled so well, let down really, really nicely, and found the line well once again. She won by just over half a length ahead of Noteworthy, but Twain's Angel, she seems almost unassuming because she just does what she has to do. There's horses that have gone through their grades in similar stages of their careers and have just absolutely bolted in by 3, 4, 5 lengths, you know, like the likes of a Clairvoyance in years gone by. But Twain's Angel, she's now 6 from 6 and she just does what she has to do. And when horses are like that, it's hard to really understand and know what their ceiling is.
Yeah, well, her biggest win to date margin-wise was 3 lengths in a maiden on debut. So her all 5 other wins have been by 2.5 lengths or less. So she hasn't, whilst they've been super impressive, you're dead right, they haven't been sort of off the chart wins. And I love the fact that she's done it over 1,200 metres every time, 1,300 metres as well. She's just not a 1,000-metre, sprinting type. She's versatile, and I'm really interested to see what they do with her next preparation. I interviewed Sean Casey for the Races WA prior to the race, and he said win, lose or draw, that was going to be her last run, and then put her away and bring her back for the spring. But, geez, it's a good problem to have. She'll go to probably a 79 rater now, so she's still eligible for ratings races, but I think she could develop into a pretty serious sort of group horse going into her 4-year-old season for sure.
Well, exactly. That's the dilemma they have going towards the Summer Carnival. Do you aim up at perhaps only those 2 fillies and mares races, the 1,200 and the 1,400 metre race, and obviously culminate with ratings races prior to that because she is still lowly rated? Or do they have a crack at trying to get her in a Winterbottom? Do they try go to that big Group 1, or do they just wait and be a little more patient with her? I'd probably lean towards the latter, be a little more patient, and then eventually get to that stage if she shows she's up to it. But as you said, it's a good problem to have.
Well, she could probably go to a 72 plus first up, and then if she was to win that, her rating would be in the 80s, and then all of a sudden you probably could go to maybe a listed race or something that might burn sort of 4 points or something, but you'd be able to get a good cider on her ability after that. But it's a nice problem to have.
Just one off the text line from Razor, and it's a really good point and good text. So thanks for getting in, Razor, as well. How good is the Twain's Angel form from the April 20 win at Ascot? Wrote them in, and Brave Spirit both huge in defeat that day. And so I actually went back and had a look at the form through that race on the 20th of April that she did win by 2.5 lengths, and there has been 10 subsequent race wins from that race alone since that date.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Twain's Angel has won 3 more playing games. It was a winner. Brave Spirit, now a listed winner, and has won 2 races. Rope the Min's won 3. Blue Lagoon won in Geraldton, and Flying South went down and belted them in Albany. So it's been pretty good form to follow the Twain's Angel form. It's stacking up everywhere you look.
100%. I loved the run of Noteworthy yesterday. Went around 20-1, and last night when I was reviewing it, I was thinking to myself, why did I not give this horse much of a chance going into yesterday? She's won 4 from 13 with 3 second placings as well, and the win at Albany was good, but then going back through her form, she had a pretty lacklustre spring and summer. In review, they were all on good tracks. You go back to her preparation last year. In June, she raced first up on a soft 7, won. She then went from a Class 1 to a graduation on a soft 6 and won by a length and 3/4. She's just an out-and-out wet tracker, I think, this horse. And her record's reflective of that as well. So whilst the rain is still around, and with Twain's Angel going to the paddock now, I'm keen to keep following Noteworthy. She's versatile in her racing pattern. She finds the line really well. She can stretch out further than yesterday's 1,200 metres. I think she's a definite follow as long as she hits a soft track.
Absolutely. Clearly, as you said, she's versatile because last start when she went down to Albany, drew barrier 3 and settled in behind the speed. So courtesy of a nice barrier, courtesy of perhaps races over a little bit further, she can settle handier to the speed. And as Michael's touched upon, she'll certainly be a horse to follow throughout these winter months.
She won up to a mile on a Saturday last winter as well. So, that's always a positive. He's Gold, terrific run there yesterday. Was a nice effort on resumption. Big day on it. Stuck on well, but disappointment was Fluoro Neuro. Thought trialled well enough, but
plenty on the text line asking about the run.
Yeah, just
Fluoro Neuro.
Purely disappointing. Had Twain Plains Angels back. No excuses. Previous heavy track winner, previous soft track winner. So I don't think he would have spun the wheels necessarily. I just thought he was.
Did you see him come again late?
Went unders.
The final 20 metres?
Last 50, probably the last 50 metres, but which is sort of strange. I guess he's raced up to 1,400 metres, but it's not as if he's an 1,800, 2,000 metre horse resuming.
Do you think he's one of those horses that maybe just has to be ridden dead cold?
Maybe.
Well, when Lucy won on him,
because Pike,
he settled. When Lucy won on him, he settled last in I think it was a big field from memory.
Maybe he's just one of those horses, because Pikey didn't really scrub him along too much early to hold that position in running, but maybe it just took the edge off him a little bit.
Maybe. Looking at him in the run, he looked like he wanted to race just a fraction keen and with his mouth open, more importantly. So perhaps Grant Alana always makes just small little tinkering gear changes, perhaps a crossover noseband or something of that like, and just ensure that his racing manners are up to the standard that they want them to be. And from there, we might see the best of Fluoro Neuro.
Fluoro Neuro, wallet burner. Never again. A couple off the text line who may have had something on Fluoro Neuro there yesterday. I think that is the case. Okay, race number 6 on the program was the Peters Investments Handicap, and this was for the stayers over the 2,200 metres.
Up there runs Satino, still well back in the field, and Stylax. Homeward bound, Talongat is the leader. So War coming at it. Pike's gone back to the inside with Fat Roy Slim. This is where he's done it before. He's winding up, recalled. Strike Now running on. Strike Now reaches the lead against the inside. Fat Roy Slim building with 100 left to go. Satino runs on. Strike Now, Fat Roy Slim. Fat Roy Slim on the inside. Strike Now, they've gone to it. Fat Roy Slim, Strike Now. Strike Now or Fat Roy Slim. There's nothing between them on the line. And Satino ran third. Then Magic Whistle recalled. Talongatta, Divine Mercy here for check.
Certainly wasn't anything in it. That is the case there yesterday in race 6. Who did you think won live, boys?
Inside.
I'm not even saying this just to be smart. I actually thought it was a dead heat.
Oh, here we go. Righto, Gary Albert.
Gary Albert Jr.'s weighed in.
The wizard.
Oh, jeez, you are the best. No, I thought the inside one, and then in the slow-mo, I was certain the inside one. I was a bit surprised at with the dead heat result, to be honest. But no, good effort by both horses, both terrific rides as well. They actually, I think Lucy was settled behind following Fat Roy Slim in the run, and she went out, Pike went in, and they dead heated. If they both went to the same spot, only one gets through and only one wins. So I thought it was a terrific ride by both. But geez, Fat Roy Slim is just absolutely airborne. 5 wins, 61 kilos. And he's onto it. You'd think he's a Perth Cup horse now. By all reports, he'll head to the Southwest Winter Cup in, I think it's 3 weeks' time, and he'll actually be a weight dropper there. He'll probably go to a...
If there's a genuine top weight, he goes to 54.
So he's an 80. As a dead heat, would he still get 4 points, or do you get less as a dead heat?
I don't know. Yeah. That's a good point. I'd have to go back and have a look.
But either way, he'll
get 4.
He's not going to get more than 4 points regardless, so he'll go to sort of maybe 83, 84, and he could be dropping a good 6-7 kilos in a Southwest Autumn Cup, which is a scary proposition.
Exactly right. The third horse, actually, Strike Now, before we move on to the third horse, Strike Now, really good performance, clearly had derived great benefit from that staying run for the first time this prep last start, only 7 days ago, and we see that so often. They just need that one, I guess, conditioning run to get going, and then...
It was a good run that day. The way he found the line late was encouraging. Exactly
right. So he was a really good performance, and then the third horse in Satino, still have a lot of time for this horse, just got too far back out of his ground. Barrier beat him, essentially.
Yep. Record was a sharp improvement on the recent effort. Talongatta I was keen on yesterday. Was probably a bit plain on what I was expecting, but still ran midfield, and the rest of the field were well beaten. The winner, or the joint winners, cleared out by 2 lengths from the rest of the field. So it's certainly I think it's a well-deserved result for the dead heat, really.
Exactly right.
Race number 7 on the program, the free entry to Belmont Park Handicap over 1,400 metres.
Still well off them, Stormy Tawny, and then Classic Rogue last of all. Candlelight's up a rope. The minnows about to join Savage One. Benji's is still there at the 250. Harvey goes full bore now on the favourite. Rope them in. Drew a length and a half to Savage One. They gap Benji's very quickly. It's rope them in down inside the last 100 from Savage One coming away. He's in front more than a length clear. Rope them in, and Rope them in wins again from Savage One. Third home Birdie Eagle just in front of Classic Rogue, who hit the line well. Then Benji's behind.
Gee, they backed this into as short as $1.75 late in the piece. Rope them in, able to get the job done quite easily there yesterday from Savage One and Birdie Eagle, boys.
Exactly right, and even if you took the shorts, you were on good terms with yourself throughout, because Rope them in, despite that tricky alley, was straight outside the lead of Savage One, and from there just travelled into the race really, really nicely. Paul Harvey, funnily enough, said to Scott post-race that he's been beaten in his last 3 of his last 4 rides. He's been beaten in a photo from horses coming from behind him, so he was mindful of not pushing the button too early and just held on to Rope them in for a little bit longer. But when he eventually said, let's go, he found the line really, really nicely. Just a nice 3-year-old, a versatile 3-year-old as well. I love the fact that he has gate speed, he can absorb pressure and then show a turn of foot at the end of his races. Won't go to a Belmont Guineas in a couple of weeks' time. He's off to the paddock, but I think he's going to be a really nice summer carnival type horse.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a serious horse. Rope them in. He'll go to an 84 rater now. He'll return as a 4-year-old. I dare say they'll be aiming him up at some good races, maybe even a railway stakes if he did get up to a mile in the Guineas last preparation. But if he makes it the natural progression next preparation as a lightly raced new season 4-year-old, that's typically the recipe for success.
He screams a Peters horse en route towards a railway, because he's still lowly rated. He might not be able to qualify for a race like a railway, but the Peters is just that perfect race on the way through.
Good platform. He's proven off the back up.
Exactly right, where you learn, can he run 1,500 metres of a Peters en route to a railway at a mile? I think that's the type of path they'll head towards.
Speaking to Wolfie about this on Thursday afternoon, he said that he has conflicting thoughts on that with Sean McGrady. McGrady sort of thinks that he's going to be a miler is where we'll see him at his best, but Wolfie's of the belief that he's going to be a better sprinter long term.
Oh, okay. Usually it's the other way around with jockeys and trainers. Jockeys usually think they're more sharper, and trainers usually think they'll get over a bit further, but no, that it'll be great to see. It's a good problem to have anyhow. They did go a lot slower in this race than the other two, so I think it's a good comparison. The last 3 races yesterday, 7, 8 and 9, were all over 1,400 metres, and if you compare the 3 leaders from each, or the leader from each race at the 800 metre mark, Savage One would have been about 17 lengths behind Cool Memory from the Raconteur Stakes, and about 12 or 13 lengths behind Beccalotti in the last race. So Rope them in was suited by Cozy Run outside leader, but in saying that, he's clearly untapped as well. Savage One himself, got it soft in front and was a sharply improved effort. Thought Birdie Eagle was a really good run. First up, no trial, or off a freshen anyway, no trial. He ran a nice third, and Classic Rogue is absolutely flying this horse. He ran a nice 4th at a big price last start. He was ridden, he didn't show the early speed yesterday, so he was settled a lot further back than previous, and he still finished off. I think there's a win in him quite soon for the rising 8-year-old Dick Turpin gelding.
He is absolutely flying.
A winner, track.
Exactly right. A winner on a heavy track previously as well. So throughout these winter months, if it absolutely buckets down, he's one to keep an eye on, considering he went around at 20-1 yesterday, and I think in this type of grade, he's always going to go around about that quote.
And if you consider that he was settled inside of and actually behind Stormy Tawny, went straight past him, and his last 600 was 35.26. Stormy Tawny was 35.90 and ran 9th, beaten 6 lengths. Definitely a disappointing performance by her.
Exactly right. That 3-deep line, Western Knight was in front of her. Not sure where he's at now. He was beaten 7 lengths, and as we touched upon, Young Alas, I thought she was disappointing also.
Maybe just didn't handle the conditions, Stormy Tawny. A bit too soft for her, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. You'd probably like to see her go finish a touch better, but you're probably right. She's yet to win on a soft track. She did run 3rd first up on a soft 5. Yesterday was a bit more juice in the track, so perhaps you can give her a little bit of a mulligan. But I think she has had an interrupted preparation. She was about... Was it 2 months from her trial to her first up run, and the pads went on that day?
So 6 or 7 weeks,
Yeah, so clearly they had an issue behind the scenes. Perhaps it's just reared its head there yesterday.
We arrive at the feature, the listed Raconteur Stakes for the 3-year-olds over the 1,400 metres. Here's the closing stages.
The tearaway leader, dropping off Brave Strike, Sapphire Street, followed by My Jimmy, and further back behind them, Blue Lagoon. Into the home straight, though, Cool Memory with a massive lead. Generosity is starting to let down. Sapphire Street's coming home strongly. Cool Memory tiptoeing. 200 to go, Sapphire Street. Further back, Brave Spirit running on strongly. Sapphire Street down the outside. Brave Spirit ranges up, strikes the lead. Brave Spirit pulls clear. Brave Spirit goes home to beat either Sapphire Street or the brilliant finishing run of the Boss Lady from last. Won't be much in it for Miners. Generosity, Cool Memory running out of its skin within.
Fair bit to unpack here from the Raconteur. Brave Spirit, a terrific winner. There's no doubting that. Before we get to the boys, we'll hear from the beaten jockeys.
Maddie Derrick, right to silence.
Yeah, she's probably just not quite up to them. She's going to the paddock.
Thanks. Steve Parnham, Sapphire Street.
She went terrific. She had a good run through and showed a good kick. I thought she was going to win. Just run out of legs late, gold up, so it's a good effort.
Thank you. Holly Watson, Brave Strike.
Yeah, real strong tempo. She was the one leading the field up.
Victoria Corver, Ancient Guidance.
Yeah, he wasn't suited to the speed, but he's on the improve. Thank you.
Chris Parnham, the Boss Lady.
Super run. Couldn't have gone any better. Got a long way back and flooded home, so tick the 1,400 metre box.
Lucy Fiore, Super Smink.
She had an okay run. She was just a bit plain, I feel a bit leg weary in running. Didn't really give me her best. It was a bit below average for her.
Jade McNaught, My Jimmy.
He was okay. Possibly a little bit plain. I think the fast speed sort of sorted him out.
Thank you. Joey Azzopardi, Cool Memory.
Yeah, he went well. We gave him something to catch, and when they got to us at the 200, he found again. So, yeah, credible run. Cheers.
Brad Parnham, Generosity.
I think she ran well under the conditions. She probably struggles to get the 14 at the best of times, and with the pace quickening so far out from home, yeah, she was just vulnerable. She didn't have that turn of foot, so all in all, it was a good run, but she's probably more a 1,200 metre horse.
Cheers. And Pat Carberry, Blue Lagoon.
He ran really well. It was obviously a very hot tempo, and he had a really good run in transit. Thought he was a sneaky chance of running the place there for a while, but just the class probably sorted him out in the end, but a very honest run.
There's Giulio Santarelli with the beaten jockeys yesterday. Great job, Jules, as always.
Sounded a bit more out of breath this week.
Yeah, he's just struggling a little bit, isn't he? But no, really good insight, and Brave Spirit, that was just a really, really nice win. But as Rylie touched upon, there's plenty to dissect in this race, Michael.
Yeah, there is. It was set up for the back markers, really. They went super hard in front. I prefaced that earlier with the first 800 metres was run about 17 lengths faster than Rope the Men's race, and about 12 or 13 lengths faster than Love and War's race in the last. So it was a hard and fast affair, but geez, I was impressed with Brave Spirit. The Boss Lady clearly run of the race from where she was, and I think the barrier beat her. But if the Boss Lady doesn't go to the Guineas, which maybe she will now off that effort, but pre-race it certainly was the plan for her not to, I struggle to see how they're going to beat Brave Spirit. He's versatile. He actually can hold a position with the barrier as well, so I don't think it really matters where he draws. He's going to meet Sapphire Street only a kilo worse for beating her by a length and a half. Generosity won't go, ran fourth. Cool Memory ran fifth. He'll meet, if that horse does go, he'll actually meet Cool Memory a kilo better, and the rest of the field he trounced. So we'll have a horse like Love and War probably come into the field. We'll have a horse like Russian Bar potentially come into the field, but yeah, I can see Brave Spirit going back-to-back in the Guineas.
A really, really nice win as well, because he looked like he was under some sufferance at the top of the straight. Sean McGrady was just niggling at him, but then you could just notice the difference once he balanced up. He found the line really nicely. I think the mile, he had a mile written all over him off the back of yesterday's win. As you touched upon, the Boss Lady, she was enormous run of the race. If she just can settle a touch handier, you can make a real case that she just about wins that.
What does Michael Lane do with her now? If they were dead set against going to the mile pre-race, another chance to get black type. She didn't win there yesterday, so they're still chasing that black type win. And the way she ran through the line, perhaps you just ride her cold in the Guineas. It's going to be a smaller field than what we saw yesterday.
Well, did the exact same thing with a filly called Rusty Dreams last year. She looked like a query at a mile.
Correct.
And Chris Parnham, that was one of the best rides you'll ever see. So perhaps there might be a change of thought heading towards the Guineas in a couple of weeks' time. Sapphire Street, I presume she'll head there. She's an underrated filly. She just continues to front up, and she loomed like the winner. You can argue that if that was a slower run race there yesterday, she's right there in the finish. Generosity, I like the fact that we've learnt that she's not a 1,400 metre or a miler moving forward. I think, well, if she is off for a break now, she returns over 1,000 to 1,300 metres, and from there we'll see the best of her. She's a really nice filly.
Yeah, I didn't think she was too bad considering how far, she was the one chasing, and she was the one that had to really absorb that tempo. If you swap her run with a Brave Spirit and she's ridden colder, she was just dictated to from the barrier there. I'm not giving up on her on winning a 1,400 metre race in the future, but yeah, clearly she's better suited over probably 12, 13, but Cool Memory stuck on well considering, and Super Smink was the disappointment in my opinion. Had the right run in the race, was pretty much smack banging between Brave Spirit and the Boss Lady, but whether the soft track brought her undone or whether the best days are behind her, hopefully not. But yeah, I thought her previous efforts were quite sound, but yesterday she went unders for mine.
I agree. What was she beaten in the end? 4.6 lengths. Had a really nice run in that 3-deep line. Yeah, I thought she was disappointing. Yeah, the only excuse, perhaps the soft track. She did win the Karrakatta on a soft 5, so I don't think that track was all that far off a soft 5 yesterday. Yeah, not sure where she's at.
Final race on the program there yesterday was the Mrs. Max handicap over 1,400 metres to round out.
A little bit worse than midfield and wide for most of the journey. Playing games vitalised, done with the Blues. Flash Paddy well off them. We rate you a day back in the field. Pro Latte next. Becca Lotti. It led the way going by the 250. Down the outside, letting go. Wonder Weapon, Love and War. And then I Dreamed a Dream. Lord Lala down on the inside. Love and War. Wonder Weapon go to Becca Lotti. I Dreamed a Dream on the outside. Love and War. Wonder Weapon trying to fight back. Love and War though with its head in front. Love and War. The former Kiwi filly wins. Love and War narrowly from Wonder Weapon, and then I Dreamed a Dream third home, probably from Lord
Love and War. Nice horse, got the win there in the last from Wonder Weapon, and even I Dreamed a Dream. Big day for Wolfie, big improver there in third.
Absolutely. Love and War, I think this was right of the day material from Pat Carberry. Had a terrible draw on paper, settled 1 out, 2 back on the back of Wonder Weapon, and those two fought out the finish, but this looks like a really nice filly. The way she found the line yesterday, you'd think she goes to a Belmont Guineas at a mile in 2 weeks' time. Beyond that, listening to Bob Peters, he's not so sure if she progresses on to the likes of a Belmont Oaks of 2,000 metres. Michael Grantham, he might be of the opinion that would suit her. That's a bridge that they'll cross in weeks to come, but she looks like a really nice horse, and Wonder Weapon continues to knock on the door.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like the look of her. She's a cracking type in the yard. Love and War, really nice, really athletic. You can tell that she'll probably stretch out over a bit further, and just a top ride there by Pat Carberry from the draw was the winning difference in the end. Wonder Weapon was given a lovely ride as well, settled 1 out, 1 back, and is just finding a couple better than her at the moment though. She's still only a Class 1, so she's eligible for easier races, but she's knocking on the door for a Saturday win. I Dreamed a Dream was a good run, and I like the effort of Playing Games, who closed off strongly. No luck for Californication, who had to do it tough throughout.
We will clear a quick break. Horses to follow up next.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
I think I may have left my mic on for a little bit then, so everyone probably knows what I'm ordering for brekkie, which is fantastic. But boys, horses to follow. Horses to follow.
Marty's back. He is back. No. Mart Jr. Burberry.
Nothing incriminating at least.
Let's hope not. I can't remember. Burberry, great return, noteworthy. Another good run, and I feel like a horse like Savage won. He hasn't won in a long time, but stable's going well. He might be able to pick one up throughout winter.
I'll be following the Hash Brown with the brekkie wrap, and noteworthy on wet tracks is the one for mine. But I think the two Williams horses, Yonga Lass and Burberry, are in for big campaigns, and they'll be doing well to be beating Brave Spirit in the Guineas.
I like the sounds of that brekkie wrap, and good luck with that date tonight, Riley.
I'm a Hash Brown out man for the record. Thanks, boys. Thanks for joining us. Racing Rewind.
Get better, Marty.
Yep. Get better, Marty. We did miss you this morning.
Kalgoorlie racing today. Good luck to those going. And the Joan Percy Memorial, big day there on the Goldfields.